When you're buying a home with kids, the decision starts to look really different than when you're buying before kids. Before kids, people often focus mostly on the house itself, the kitchen, the layout, the finishes, things like that. But once kids are part of the picture, the conversation usually shifts pretty quickly because suddenly the question isn't just, do we like the house? It becomes, what does daily life look like here? Things like schools, routines, parks, commute times, and how easy your day to day life will be start to matter just as much as the house itself. And that's something a lot of families don't fully realize until they start actually looking at homes. One thing I see pretty often is families focusing really heavily on the house itself. They're looking at kitchens, countertops, floorings, all the details inside the home. And those things are nice, but once kids are involved, what's around the house often becomes more important. How far is school? Is there a park nearby? How long will the commute be? Are activities and sports going to require driving across the city every night? Sometimes the right house isn't the one with the nicest finishes. It's the one that makes your daily routine easier. Sometimes the best house is simply the one that makes Tuesday evenings a little less chaotic. Another thing families often start thinking about more carefully is layout. Layout can matter a lot more once kids are part of the picture. For families with younger kids, many people prefer bedrooms on the same floor, so everyone is close together. Other families might want a layout where there's a bit more separation, especially as kids get older and start needing their own space. Things like where the bedrooms are located, where there's a second living space, or how visible the backyard is from the kitchen can actually make a big difference in how the house functions for a family. And sometimes those practical things end up mattering more than the cosmetic updates. Yards are another thing that often come up when families are buying. A lot of people assume they need a really big yard once they have kids. And for some families, that's absolutely true. But sometimes living close to parks, playgrounds, or walking paths can actually work just as well, or sometimes even better. Maintaining a large yard can take a lot of time, especially when kids already have busy schedules. So sometimes families end up preferring a smaller yard if it means they're close to outdoor spaces where kids can run and play. Again, it really comes back to thinking about how your family actually lives day to day. Another thing that's helpful to think about when buying with kids is how the house will work not just now, but a few years from now. Kids grow quickly and family needs can change faster than people expect. A home that works well with toddlers might feel very different once kids become teenagers with sports schedules, friends visiting, homework space, and activities happening all the time. Sometimes things like having a second living room or extra bedroom or flexible space can become really valuable as families grow. So it can help to look at a house not just for what life looks like today, but what it might look like in 5 or 10 years. And one thing I always encourage families to do is simply slow the process down a little bit. Buying a home is already a huge decision, but when kids become involved, it becomes even more important that the home actually supports your family's life. So it's not just about the house, it's about routines, the school, the parks, and the day to day experience of living there. Taking the time to think through those things can make a huge difference in how the home feels long after possession day. If you're currently looking at homes and trying to figure out what might work best for your family, sometimes the most helpful thing is just stepping back and thinking about what makes your daily life easier. Because the right house isn't always the most impressive one. Sometimes it's simply the one that makes life run a little more smoothly for everyone in the family.